Hello everybody and welcome to a special edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. But if you talk about anything and everything that is geek, will be TV, comics, movies, or video games. And the reason I say it's special is because this is kind of a one-off from the regular episodes of Mr. J's Geek Corner, like one you've probably already seen today. If you haven't already seen it, definitely check it out. But reason I say it's special because this is just kind of a rant. This is something I've found out about just this past weekend online. There's a channel out there called Alpha that I've subscribed to called Alpha Omega Sin. He does a lot of like geek related reviews on stuff like Star Wars and Superman. Like he's into comics and he's also into like heavy metal music type stuff. So. But mainly geek stuff from what I've seen. It's a good channel. You should definitely check it out. I recommend it. But a video of his popped up on my feed just this past weekend, and the headline was Fox News once again bashes Star Wars, and it got me interested. I checked it out, and then I read the headline. There's one of their contributors that had a few things to say, and it had a link to the video. And I saw this video, and I'm gonna say it. They weren't too kind on Star Wars fans. I mean, there are some out there. I mean, I'm a big Star Wars fan myself, but there are some out there that are pretty adamant about it. I mean, they're pretty adamant about it. Like I said, it's been around as a franchise. Been around for well over 30 years. I mean, it's a very good movie franchise, and got a new movie coming up and everything. And their main story they were talking about is fans getting all emotional over the new trailer, which I myself got a little emotional too. I mean, it's just the music hits you just right, and it kind of tugs at you a little bit. But there's folks crying, like response videos of folks crying over it and everything, and they thought it was the most hilarious thing in the world. And they talk about basically on there calling Star Wars fans losers. And this one particular woman, her name is, let me look at my notes here, Catherine Timpf. I guess that's her name, Catherine Timpf. She's a contributor she's a writer for the National Review, contributor for Fox News, and a so-called comedian. She had enough nerve to sit on there and just rail into Star Wars fans. And to tell you the truth, I mean, and they made them sound. She made fans sound so bad about nerds and their little nerd poking at each other with their little nerd sticks. And what she was talking about was the ones that have the lightsabers. And she said that's kind of what they're saying. They're replica lightsabers. And they're calling their nerd sticks, and it's like, I was like, and she's saying it's a little derogatory. I'm gonna say it. First off, that's the first mistake right there. Geeks, not nerds. Nerds is a completely different community unto themselves. They're geeks. Get it right. Even then, she's using it in a derogatory term. Like it's so negative to be that way, and yet what's she doing on there? She sits on there looking like a pseudo nerd with her little thick glasses on and everything, trying to look like this nerd. She's a fake. She ain't no nerd. And she brings up the fact that about a month ago, she wrote something down about the time this trailer come out. Excuse me. The trailer come out. She's everybody's response to it. This is her actual tweet, and she wrote, "What's Star Wars? Sorry, I've been too busy liking cool things and being attractive." How condescending is that? It's like she's looking down her nose at everybody that likes Star Wars and everybody in that community. She's basically. I was like, you talk about somebody. I mean, I read this on another website. It's like you're basically putting down. Basically, if you like Star Wars, you're not attractive. What does that say to somebody that's basically a preteen or teenage girl that's insecure about their looks and happens to love Star Wars? What does that say? What does that sound like to you? That she's basically calling anybody that likes Star Wars unattractive. That's basically what she's saying. I'm going to say this, is there's an old saying, beauty is only skin deep. Ugly goes slam to the bone. And what I mean by ugly, what you look like on the inside, not on the outside. She may look like a model on the outside by some people's standards, but on the inside, to me, she's basically Palpatine at this point. There's such a thing. I mean, I don't pick on people's looks, but that's what she's basically looked like on the inside. She basically, and there was a lot of negative response to that. There's a lot of folks saying they found her attractive until she said that. I mean, there's a lot of folks that probably would have liked her, but she said that, and she basically alienated a lot of folks. And from what she said, she had a lot of folks sending her death threats, supposedly. And she had enough nerve to say on there, says about, I don't want to be a part. It said, if you're going to be like that, I don't want to be a part of your little nerd your little death threatening nerd club. I was like, she's still looking down her nose at him. And I'm going to say it, I don't agree at all with folks sending death threats at all to anybody. But I'm just saying, you had to know you were going to get this kind of reaction. What did you think was going to happen? I ain't saying anybody asked for this at all. I wouldn't ask for one, but hey, who in the world would want to get a death threat? Nobody. But how do you honestly think that people, that fans, especially Star Wars fans, I mean, you see how they've react. A lot of classic fans react over the prequels. There are folks that go pure rabid mad dog. You talk about a prequel around them. How did she honestly think people were going to react? They were going to react to her comments. She had to know. I'm gonna say it, that particular comment sounded like a troll. That sounded like she was trolling for this kind of thing. I say that because along the line for last month, even after she appeared on Fox News just the other day, and this was just the other day she appeared on Fox News and brought this up again, and I'm going to say, she's still, I mean, if she wasn't looking to get a rise out of folks, why would she still keep poking the hornet's nest? She is still putting derogatory comments aimed at not just Star Wars, but Star Wars fans. You had to know that she's getting a kick out of this. And that to me is despicable. That is despicable. To sit on there and constantly poke to try to get a rise out of people and just sit there and laugh. That's sadistic. I mean, it's just fans of a movie here. This is stuff they've grown up with for years and years, and all you do is say it's just the same as back when before geek culture was popular. She harkens back to that age when geek culture was not popular, and anybody that liked it was picked on in school. I'm gonna say school in general, not just high school, but any school. And I'm gonna say, and the same website they talk about it. So what about what does this say to little kids about 13, 14 years old? Said you can hearken that to bullying, and I agree. That's the same as high school bullying, as school bullying. Picking on somebody because they like Star Wars, picking on their looks. Let me see if I can find the actual quotes from that was used by let me see. Okay. Give me just a minute. Basically she actually called him crazy. That was a word she used. Crazy. But basically, bottom line, calling them crazy, unattractive, and uncool. This was Alpha Omega Sin's word. But still, that I agree with that. Basically saying they're not cool, They saying Star Wars isn't cool. They saying Star Wars fans aren't cool. Saying they're crazy and saying they're unattractive. What is that? What kind of person sits on there and says that? A very, very sadistic, sad one. Just wanting attention. And sit up there and grin about it. I mean, that whole... It ain't just her. I mean, she did the worst of all of it. But the entire thing on Fox News was just slamming Star Wars fans. And I'm going to say it. What if she said the same thing? I mean, you think she thinks about it as Star Wars fans. Imagine how she would feel towards comic book fans. I could say this for certain. I think she hates geeks. She looks down on geeks. And that's just sad. She bashes that. I mean, you can almost say that's another attack on geek culture. Another attack. Because I've said before, attacks on superhero movies and stuff from Hollywood and everything. Attacks on superhero related things. This is now expanded into backlash against geek culture. I mean, why would Fox News sit there and devote an entire story with folks on there? I think they said there was one person there trying to defend it, but they talked all over top of him. I mean, what does that say? What else could it be when a news outlet sits on there and just slams fans and a movie franchise, fans of a movie franchise, and then the one who created it, who don't even own it anymore? What does that say other than it's an attack on geek culture? It's an attack, plain and simple. And she's leading it. She started it. I mean, and I'm thinking that she actually enjoys getting a rise out of these people, or else she wouldn't keep picking at them like this. She gets pick at them and then sit back and laugh at them and call them crazy. And personally, who's really the crazy one here? Who's really the crazy one? The Star Wars fans or this chick that keeps poking at them, trying to stir them up and sitting back and having a kick out of it? But as I said, it's not just her. It was the entire story. The dude sitting on there constantly saying over and over again, Lucasfilm, Lucas doing this, Lucas doing that, Lucas trying to redeem himself for the prequels, trying to make a better trilogy, trying to do that. And is he stuck in pre-2012 or something? Because when last I checked, Lucas does not own Lucasfilm or Star Wars anymore. He owns none of it anymore. He sold everything to Disney. And from what I read from that other article that I referred to earlier, Star Wars, he actually likes the prequels. He loves the prequels. Matter of fact, I think he actually said if he could be any character from the prequels, he said he'd want to be Jar Jar Binks. I don't know if he's being sarcastic or he meant it, but still, this is his words. And the fact this dude kept saying, I think somebody actually tried to say, hey, Disney owns it in the story. Disney owns this now. He kept saying Lucas. Anybody have to slap the dude upside the head to get him to quit sound like a broken record. Lucas has nothing to do with Lucasfilm anymore. As a matter of fact, he has nothing to do with this movie. Matter of fact, I don't think he said he ever want to have anything to do with Star Wars ever again. Or directing one anyway. But he has no involvement with this movie. And this dimwit, this lightwit, I don't know what he was. There was another so-called comedian. All he could do is sit on there and say it's Lucas doing this. He has nothing to do with this movie. I'm going to say it. Folks have picked on Fox News for being not getting the facts straight, and they've picked on folks, and Fox News has picked back for folks not getting the facts straight, but that has to do with politics. This time, I can say for sure, they know diddly squat about pop culture, particularly Star Wars, because from what I heard, this is the second time they lashed against Star Wars and basically calling the whole thing stupid, just about. for lack of a better term, they're basically on there calling it whole thing stupid and silly, and basically almost telling people they need to get a life. Well, guess what? Some people, this is their life. Just because you sit up there and spout out the news all day and look down you doesn't mean that. I mean, this goes back to like high school hijinks. It goes back only the fact that geek culture is now a worldwide, has attained worldwide popularity, and yet you still got the jocks and the preps in the corner somewhere. Now it being the media, sitting back, looking down on them, picking on them. It's the same thing that went on in school back in the day, only on a worldwide scale now. And again, this is once again more attack on geek culture. And you can't, and like I said, the evidence is right here. This is more attack on geek culture from folks who hate it. I mean, like I said, if Birdman and the director of Birdman wasn't, and the entire Oscars this year wasn't enough evidence that they're now pushing back against the popularity of geek culture, this is even more evidence. You got Fox News on there acting like a bunch of on there looking at Star Wars fans like they're a bunch of losers. They're essentially saying they're a bunch of losers. And I'm saying there's a lot of folks out there that are Star Wars fans that are very successful. There's a lot of folks that start out liking Star Wars. They're now in command of computer companies. They're very successful. And yet these goobs up here can look down on them like they're losers. And I'm gonna say to Little Miss Timph, what kind of cool things are you talking about? Basically saying Star Wars isn't cool. I'm gonna say, what kind of cool things are you talking about? Going to the club? Is that what you're talking about? Going out and getting drunk? What are you talking about? Anyway, you need to, like I said, it's just infuriating. It just got me so mad. I had to do this because, like I said, some folks out there that can't stand it. Geek culture is the thing now. It's the running thing right now, and there's some folks that just can't stand it, and they still look at the geeks as losers. Or I'm sorry, for the uninformed, nerds. I did a show on this before. If y'all want to go look at that, for those of y'all who haven't seen it, go check it out. The difference between geeks and nerds. And there's still folks that get that crossed up. And like I said, there's just folks, it's just frustrating. But what do y'all think? Have y'all heard this garbage? Did y'all agree with her? Do y'all disagree? Does this make you as mad as it's made me? Let me know. And as always, drop a comment in the comment box. If y'all have any kind of comments on this, and I guess they say rant over. That's all for this edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. That's all for this rant. And thank you for letting me rant. And if y'all have any comments about the show whatsoever, drop them in the comment box. Y'all have any ideas of future topics you want to hear me rant about or just discuss, analyze on here, drop them in the comment box. I'm always looking for fresh new topics, so I'd love to hear y'all ideas, so definitely drop them in the comment box. And as always, like, subscribe, share with all your friends, and tell all your friends. And I'll see y'all next time.